Okay, everybody. Hi, this is the fourth installment of my series on the Book of Psalms. Today we're going to look at Psalm 34. This psalm is a little longer than the other psalms that we've looked at. It has 23 verses, and it's an acrostic, which means that after a one-verse introduction, the second verse begins with the letter Aleph, and it goes through the whole Aleph Bet. There are 22 letters of the Aleph Bet. It has every letter except for the letter Vav. So maybe historically speaking, everything was written by scribes and transmitted orally. And over the course of history, I would be willing to guess that the verse that begins with the letter Vav somehow got forgotten or left off. The same thing happens with one of the most famous acrostics, the Ashrei prayer. The Ashrei prayer is an acrostic, but it doesn't have a verse for the letter Nun. So probably, again, historical, that verse just got left off. So that's the first interesting thing to know about Psalm 34. There are a few verses that if you know the liturgy, you'll recognize the verses, like Gadlu Ladonai Iti, that's part of the Torah service, and Yeru et Adonai Kidoshav, which is part of Birkat Hamazon. So those verses will sound familiar. The theme that appears again and again in this psalm, and we'll examine this more carefully after I read through the whole thing, is that the psalmist readily admits that many people have very difficult lives, have a lot of troubles, a lot of challenges. He is upfront. He does not try to sugarcoat that or deny that. But it does not shake his faith at all. He is steadfast and firm that God will rescue you, will save you, will protect you in the midst of all of your sorrow and anguish and challenges. That is the running theme throughout this psalm. We see it again and again, especially in the concluding verses of Psalm 34. I'm going to read through the psalm, and then we'll go back and take a look at a couple of the verses. LeDavid b'shanoto et ta'amo lifnei Avimelech v'yigarshehu vayelach. Of David, when he feigned madness in the presence of Avimelech, who turned him out, and he left. Now, this is a well-known story from the Bible, from the stories of King David. David was on the run from Avimelech, who was one of his enemies at the time. And David, in this psalm at least, thinks that God rescued him and saved his life from the wrath of Avimelech. So David, again, is writing from a place of extreme gratitude, being rescued from a point of great distress where he literally feared for his life. That's the inspiration for the next verses. I'll read in English first and then in Hebrew. I bless the Lord at all times. Praise of him is ever on my mouth. Avaracha et Adonai b'chol eit, tamid tehilato b'fi. I glory in the Lord. Let the lowly hear and rejoice. Badonai titalel nafshi, yishmeu anavim vayismachu. Exalt the Lord with me. Let us extol his name together. Gadlu ladonai iti, uneromama shemo yachdav. I turned to the Lord, and he answered me. He saved me from all my terrors. Darashti et Adonai ve'anani, umikol megurotai hitzilani. Men look at him and are radiant. Let their faces not be downcast. Hibitu elav v'naharu, ufnehem lo yechparu. Here was a lowly man who called, and the Lord listened and delivered him from all his troubles. Ze ani kara v'Adonai shamea, umikol tzorotav hoshio. The angel of the Lord camps around those who fear him and rescues them. Choneh malach Adonai saviv lireyav v'yechaltzem. taste and see how good the Lord is. Happy is the man who takes refuge in him. Ta'amu ur'u ki tov Adonai. Ashrei hagever yechasu bo. Fear the Lord, you his consecrated ones. For those who fear him lack nothing. Yir'u et Adonai kidoshav ki ein machsor lireav. Lions have been reduced to starvation, but those who turn to the Lord shall not lack any good. Kifirim rashu v'ra'evu, v'dorshei Adonai lo yachsru kol tov. Come, my children, and listen to me. I will teach you what it is to revere Adonai. L'chu vanim shim'u li. Yirat Adonai alamedchem. Who is the person who desires years of good fortune? Who is the one who is eager for life? Mi ha'ish hachafetz chayim, ohev yamim lirot tov. Guard your tongue from evil and your lips from deceitful speech. Nitzor lashon chamera, usfatecha midaber mirma. Shun evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. Sur meira va'aseh tov, bakesh shalom v'rodvehu. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, his ears attentive to their cry. Einei Adonai al tzadikim ve'oznav al shavatam. The face of the Lord is set against evildoers, to erase their names from the earth. Pnei Adonai be'osei ra, lachrit me'eretz zichram. They cry out, and the Lord hears, and saves them from all their troubles. Tza'aku Adonai shamea, umikol tzrotam hitzilam. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Those crushed in spirit, he delivers. Karov Adonai lenishbarei lev, ve'et dakei ruach yoshia. Though the misfortunes of the righteous be many, the Lord will save him from them all. Rabot ra'ot tzadik, umikulam yatzilenu Adonai. Keeping all his bones intact, not one of them being broken. Shomer kol atzmotav, achat mehena lo nishbara. One misfortune is the death blow of the wicked. The foes of the righteous shall be ruined. Timotet rasha ra'ah, v'son'et tzadik yeshma'u. The Lord redeems the life of his servants. All who take refuge in him shall not be ruined. Podeh Adonai nefesh avadav, v'lo yeshma'u kol hachosim bo. All right, let's go back and look at just a couple of these verses. I love verse 9 that says, taste and see how good the Lord is. The idea of tasting, it's like you experience God on your senses. This is not an intellectual pursuit. This is something that you feel in your innermost being, like the taste of, sweet sugar or honey, something that is so good, like manna from heaven. I want to read something that is from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who talked about this idea of taste and what it's like to really experience God. Heschel wrote, "To the pious man, God is as real as life, and as nobody would be satisfied with mere knowing or reading about life, so he is not content to suppose or prove logically that there is a God. His desire is to taste the whole wheat of spirit before it is ground into the before it is ground by the millstone of reason. What a great image, especially if you're a baker or appreciate baking. His desire is to taste the whole wheat of spirit before it is ground by the millstone of reason. That's Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. So to taste God's presence is to really experience God in the innermost part of your being. It's a beautiful image. I've taught this from Psalm 34 before, how the psalmist asked the question almost rhetorically, who is it who desires a good and long life and many years? So first, don't speak any evil. I mean, in everything that you speak, let it be for good. Don't injure people with your words. Make sure that what you speak is really what you feel in your heart, and you're not just being fake. That's part of what he says. Shun evil and do good, right? So always do acts of kindness, acts of chesed. Don't do evil. And then the psalmist says, seek peace and pursue it. Bakesh shalom v'rodfehu. So the commentators ask, why do you have to say that twice? Why do you have to seek peace, but then also pursue it? What's the difference? And one commentator said that you have to first seek peace within yourself before you can go out and make peace in the world. You have to have serenity, equanimity. You have to have inner contentment yourself before you can bring peace to the world, bring people together in peace. Or another way to look at it, you have to have peace in your own household, in your own family, shalom bayit, before you can create peace outside of your house, peace in the world. So those are two different, both personal ways of thinking about peace on a personal level, and then peace, making peace in the world. Bakesh shalom v'rodfehu. This verse is just so beautiful. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Karov Adonai lenishbarei lev. We've all felt moments of deep sorrow, or at least I bet many of us have, at the loss of a loved one or the trauma that we have in our life. It's when we're brokenhearted, that's when God is closest to us. If we're just willing to allow God to be with us in those such difficult, painful moments, God is there with us if we're willing. Such a powerful image from the psalmist. I mean, it just makes you want to cry. That at your worst moments, when you've hit rock bottom, the darkness of the pit, God is there if you just cry out. Oh, it's just so beautiful. It's sort of like the image of Passover, that when the people were just completely devastated by the cruelty of the Egyptians and the harshness of the slavery, that's when they cried out. And only once they cried out to God did God respond and finally say, I've heard the plight of my people. And that's when God commandeered Moses and said, you will go to Pharaoh and you will tell him to let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. So we have to, when we reach that dark place, we have to cry out to God, and God will respond. I just can't get enough of that verse. God is with the brokenhearted. The last thing I would say about this psalm, a technical point, is that it ends with the last Hebrew letter, that's the Hebrew letter Tav, Timotet Rasha Ra'ah. One misfortune is the death blow of the wicked. The foes of the righteous shall be ruined. But it adds one more verse. The Lord redeems the life of his servants. But it's beyond Tav. Tav is the last letter. Why does it add one more verse? I can only assume that the psalmist didn't want to end on a negative note, talking about the wicked and the foes of righteous. The psalmist wanted to end on a high note, a positive note. The Lord redeems the life of his servants, all who take refuge in him shall not be ruined. That's a proper ending for this really beautiful, powerful, uplifting psalm. You don't want to end about the wicked and those who are the enemies of the righteous. That's not the way you want to conclude this powerful, powerful message. So again, that's Psalm 34. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see everybody soon. All the best. Shalom.